And we were there during that time where everything just exploded. And I remember launching the PayPal app. We went from the first year we had $5 billion go through the app. Second year, 10 billion. Third year, 25 billion. Fourth year, 50 billion. It was just growing like crazy without us doing too much.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Leumi Tech, sponsored by Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Turing, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and in media partnership with C-Tech. I am incredibly excited and honored to welcome Matan Bar to 20-Minute Leaders. Fintech runs in his DNA, payments, peer-to-peer payments, small businesses, groups, individuals, name it, he's worked on it. Welcome Matan Bar, co-founder and CEO of Melio, an accounts payable and receivable solution designed for small US businesses. Before founding Melio, Matan led PayPal's consumer peer-to-peer payments group globally, responsible for over $50 billion in payment volume annually. Matan joined PayPal through an acquisition of his first payments company, The Gifts Project, that he co-founded back in 2009 and got acquired by eBay Inc. in 2012. Matan Bar, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
No. The honor here is 100% mine. I can't imagine how incredibly busy you must be, the CEO of Melio. But your journey, which we'll touch on, I'm sure is no less interesting than what you're working on today. Your entrance to the payments and fintech and small businesses ecosystem, all the way from the Gifts Project with Gura, selling to eBay, general manager at eBay, to PayPal, leading global teams, and now to Melio. I think it's just unbelievable. And so I'm excited to both talk about you and the whole ecosystem of small businesses and payments in general. But we will start with soccer because that is a really good fun fact. How do you become a professional soccer player in Haifa and then transition yourself to small business payments world?
Thanks for all the kind words. And yeah, that's a great question. Well, in Haifa, I guess I think many people play soccer, and I think being in the leading team for your school gets you, all the great benefits of traveling when you're in school and just doing something that you love. And at the time, I think soccer was 90% of my life.
Really?
And I enjoyed every second of it. I think at some point I realized that I'm better at math than soccer. So I started decreasing the time I'm spending on soccer and increasing the time I'm spending on programming and computers. But definitely continue to do both until today, and we'll continue to do that for many more years.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about the Gifts Project. It's one of the stories that I grew up with. When I just entered, thinking about high tech, everybody was talking about the Gifts Project, and following that, the acquisition to eBay and your entrance there. How did that all begin? Where did all this come from?
Yeah, so like any good story, it starts with just really great partners. Ron, Gura, and I know each other from Haifa. Both of us live in Tel Aviv today, but we know each other since the age of 8. Wow. And Erez Dickman, that was the CTO, co-founder and CTO, he studied with me computer science in Tel Aviv University. And Maya is also Ron's brother's wife. So we knew each other for a long, long while. And then, we just thought that it would be really fun to do something together. I was at my last semester in Tel Aviv University, and we started thinking about different concepts. Group payments and group gifts was the concept that the Gifts Project was actually based on. And we just went for it. I think we, similarly to the story or how I started Melio, my current company, it starts with just making sure that you want to spend a lot of time with great partners where you share values with and going to enjoy working with, regardless of the specific concept or specific space and industry.
Right. And so you're going with the Gifts Project, and you're talking about we're starting to talk about the fintech ecosystem. You're also then at eBay and with PayPal. And tell me a little bit now, higher level, even before we go into Melio, small businesses, payments, peer-to-peer payments. What is this all about? Why is this such a complicated ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a great question because I somehow been working in fintech for the past I think 14
Wow.
years. Um, Accidentally, but I feel very lucky because I started with the Gift Project, which was a group payments company, and then with eBay and PayPal, of course, it got really hardcore in terms of fintech and financial services. And I feel lucky for two reasons. One is um, fintech is an incredible space that makes a huge impact on consumers and businesses because it might sound simplistic, but people care about money a lot. Like money is very important to people, and when you make money better, faster, more efficient, cheaper, whatever, more accessible, creating financial inclusion. Like we'll talk about. I'll mention a few examples for each of these. But in high level, making money better makes people's lives better. I think when looking at the past year with COVID, of course, the health situation was the number one concern for everyone around the world. But the second one was, the business and the economy that was really hit hard. And then financial services really took a significant role in the recovery from this terrible pandemic. And so fintech even became more important than ever before during that past year. But money is very important, and enabling experiences like the one that my team and I built at PayPal, for example. So my team and I at PayPal, we led everything related to friends and family payments worldwide. So paying back for coffee using the PayPal app, or sending money to my family abroad in Mexico, whatever use case it would be, we built products that enabled these payments. And so, for example, one of the products that we've built was the PayPal app, which, by the way, 80% was built in Tel Aviv in terms
Wow.
of the code and product and design. And we launched it in 200 countries, enabling people to move money across the world. And luckily for us, like we were also at the right time and the right place, as consumers around the world were shifting from cash to mobile payments. Regardless of our efforts, we did a great job seizing the opportunity, I guess, but this was bigger than us. Consumers around the world were shifting from cash and paper checks to mobile payments, and now paying with Venmo or paying with the PayPal app to a friend became a standard. And we were there during that time where everything just exploded. And I remember launching the PayPal app. We went from the first year we had $5 billion go through the app, second year 10 billion, third year 25 billion, fourth year 50 billion. It was just growing like crazy without us doing too much, to be honest, because of this crazy macro trend and this tailwind that digitized money in terms of how one consumer pays another consumer. So that's one example. But I think the overarching thing for me is fintech makes a difference, and it gets better and better because fintech becomes, or consumers and businesses are now trusting more technology companies to handle many of the financial services that were usually served by the traditional financial institutes like banks, issuing banks, etc. So I think it's a very exciting time from a business standpoint and also just in terms of impact overall.
So I have to ask you a little bit of a personal question. Matan, you're
Yeah.
in PayPal and you're leading this initiative globally, an initiative that I use honestly almost on a day-to-day basis, and people from more than 200 countries use. And you wake up and you know that you are one of the people responsible for over 50 billions of dollars of transactions annually. Hyper growth sounds like year over year from 5 billion to 10 billion. And you wake up. What is that like? Are you scared? Are you excited? Are you worried? Like I'm trying to imagine. What could that feel like?
Yeah, so it's definitely a spot on question. I think one of the good things about if we talked about soccer, team sport, it's about the team. It's very different for a tennis player and a soccer player. With a soccer player, you have 10 other team members on your team that you rely on and really affect your success or failure. And when you're a tennis player, well, you're on your own. But this is a team effort, and the confidence that I got was coming from my team. And I don't want to sound like cheesy or anything, but this is really the authentic answer. If I had an incredible team, an incredible team of product managers, designers, engineers, legal, compliance, and we just felt like the talent condensity back then and now with Melio makes you feel very confident that you can do everything and anything. And so it wasn't stressful. It wasn't really like we felt in control. And I think if I need to be, maybe I'm risking being over generalizing in terms of the Israeli culture, but there's something about the Israeli culture that is very like can do. I don't know. It's called chutzpah. But it's like, I remember, maybe I'll tell a quick personal story. I remember eBay during the gift project days. We were a 7-people startup, and we partnered with eBay to enable their group payments. And eBay came to us, the CTO of eBay came to us and asked us, hey, can you handle 20 million users a day? Because we were enabling this feature, never mind the details for eBay. And we were like, of course we can, and we were 26 years old, and we said, and we were actually confident that we can do it. But I think maybe a different culture or other people might have said, I don't know, we need to check, because we only handled 500 people a day until then. So from 500 to 20 million a day, that is a big jump. Luckily for us, it worked out, and we actually were able to handle 20 million users a day successfully. So this story has a good ending. But there's something about the attitude, like being very optimistic, but backing it up with, skills and capabilities, I think is important also. So the confidence comes from the team, but the approach to create these types of opportunities, I think it's a culture thing, and just being very optimistic and believing in your future self in a way.
So we're moving from group payments to peer-to-peer payments, and now you are the CEO of a pretty fresh, I believe, unicorn, Melio. I believe you've raised more than $250 million from some of the most incredible investors that I can think of. Obviously, Aleph, one of them, and Bessemer, and many others that I'm not listing right now. But now we're talking about small businesses, and I have to say, I go on the website and I look through, and I've heard of Melio in a bunch of different scenarios, but I go through and I imagine it seems so simple, this idea, and the way that you're making it look so simple. Yet, from everything that I've heard in the ecosystem, making payments from small businesses is so freaking hard. And so tell me a little bit about your understanding into this market and how you're bringing Melio now to simplify and really make it accessible in every way, shape, or form.
Yeah, sure. And I think you're touching one of the even key reasons for why we even started Melio, because like you said, most of the tools that exists today to manage B2B payments, Melio is helping small businesses pay their suppliers, vendors, contractors. There's $10 trillion of payouts to vendors every year by small businesses. Most of these payouts are with paper checks or these archaic tools, and it's really fascinating, or it was fascinating, and still is fascinating for us. Why don't these businesses shift from paper checks to a digital payment solution? I know, like a Venmo for small businesses, because consumers have definitely shifted to digital. Why are small business owners lagging behind? These are the same people, the same business owner that is paying with Venmo and has, Square as a fancy point of sale. the same person is licking stamps and stuffing envelopes to mail checks to suppliers. So what's going on? And really, it's related to the notion that you've mentioned, where existing solutions, these solutions are called accounts payable automation solutions. These are solutions that are supposed to help a small business manage its B2B payments, its supplier payments, contractor payments. And these tools are overwhelming for small business owners because they're mostly designed for finance professionals, like a CFO, an accountant, a finance team, as they target larger businesses where there's a finance professional that knows accounting and would know how to use these accounts payable automation solutions. We realized that there's an underserved market, a very large underserved market, small businesses or small business owners that cannot afford a CFO. A wine shop doesn't have a CFO. It's either the owner or a trusted employee. I don't know, an office admin, let's say, of a dentist is another example, that are making light bookkeeping, that are making light payments for the business, but they are frightened by these accountants and accounting tools. And so they require a much simpler solution. And so coming from the world of friends and family payments, of Venmo and Square Cash and the PayPal app, we saw an opportunity to say, hey, let's bring the consumer level simplicity and consumer level user experience to a world that is filled with tools that were designed by accountants for other accountants. And so the simplicity and the clarity is really the main differentiator, but we do address all the complicated stuff in the background, just without requiring the user to really be an accountant or have any financial expertise. And by that, we are serving one of the, I would say, biggest goals that fintech has, which is financial inclusion or democratization of financial services. Technology in general, and with Melio specifically, makes financial services more accessible, whether it's providing tools to people that were limited because of their credit score, or in our case, just making things simpler so that anyone can actually be a financial expert without being a financial expert. So financial inclusion, making things accessible, serving an underserved market with these financial tools is really a big deal, and simplicity is core to all of this.
Right. I think one of the things that I've been, joking with a lot of my friends that are also in the tech industry, we've been saying, I don't even know in some cases, what the difference between the small business and a person is. Some people are operating as if they're a small business, yet so the line is becoming grayer. And obviously this is not representative of the whole market. I'm imagining, millions upon millions of small businesses around the world that are just breaking their head on how to get through all this accounting stuff. And now today, especially as payments are being made overseas, in exponential amounts compared to previously, this simplicity, I think it sounds like is key here. Did anything surprise you along the way as you were building Melio? And obviously you've grown very, very quickly and it's been very successful until now. Did anything surprise you or your partners as you embarked on this journey?
Yeah, we had many surprises. I think there's a reason for why many startups have like a bottom-up approach and not a top-down approach. It's very hard to predict an innovative move or the outcome of an innovative move. Creating budgets and projections for the next 3 years is very hard in a business that is very innovative and far from being predictable. And so we have tons of surprises. I think, that it's not going to be a unique answer, I'm sure, but the biggest surprise was the implications of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Last year, around end of February, I wasn't sure what's going to happen with Melio. When
Really?
Things started escalating, end of February, beginning of March, we're serving small businesses. We heard that small businesses are shutting down around the world. That doesn't sound like a good thing in general, of course, but for Melio specifically, it doesn't sound like a good thing. And I was starting to plan for the worst. And then the opposite happened. What happened is that we did have customers that unfortunately had to shut down. So we weren't completely wrong, unfortunately, because we did have quite a few businesses that had to close shop. But what we didn't expect is that the ones that did survive shifted to digital at an accelerated pace. And so the many small businesses that were actually resilient and flexible enough to cope with the pandemic started shifting their business to digital, whether it's e-commerce, having Shopify, Stripe, PayPal explode, and just even their B2B payment operation also shifted to digital because it's no longer easy to pick up a check or hand out a check. So we didn't expect this acceleration in growth. And that's probably the biggest surprise to date.
I love it. Matan, are you ready for a few fun questions?
Sure.
All right. Favorite subject in middle or high school?
Favorite subject? I would have said math, but I want to keep my personal. I don't know. That it's not a great answer, but I'll say definitely sports. Like everything related to sports, I just loved. That's the real answer.
Amazing. Somebody that inspires you, a role model of yours.
There are a few. I think one that I admire, which is an amazing athlete, is Roger Federer, the tennis player. I think the thing I admire about him most, regardless of his success, it's his style. Like a very humble and almost effortless style. And he's effortless because he's so talented and so accurate, and he never sweats even. I don't know how, but he's just accurate, and for me, that's the ideal style. Like it takes a lot of effort to look effortless. And Federer, I guess, is a great example for it.
I'll add the word elegance because I have
elegance. No,
I have yet to meet an athlete that I watch on TV and he gives me the composure. He's almost like a psychologist for me. I watch him and I feel automatically better. Matan, thank you so much for coming on the show. I have one last question for you. 3 words that you would use to describe yourself.
3 words. I think self-aware, humble, creative.
Self-aware, humble, and creative. Matan, toda rabba rabba. Thank you so much. Best of luck with Melio. Thank you for helping millions of small businesses around the world, billions of people with peer-to-peer payments, millions of groups through the Gifts Project. I think a lot of us owe a great deal to the incredible innovations that you've brought on. So thank you also for taking this time to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.